They love living there. I would love to see it, and there's resident dolphins there, so obviously that's a massive draw. I would just love to go, and I just...
Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel, Cruelty-Free Models, a place to discover the industry's top cruelty-free and eco-conscious models, makeup artists, and other industry professionals. I'll also be talking about all things cruelty-free, vegan fashion, and as always, have a little fun. So today, you guys, we have another episode of Kind Model Q&A. My very special guest is Jennifer Bird, and she started a hella unique agency for makeup artists. It's called Conscious Artists, and it specializes in cruelty-free makeup artists. So I think that is just so unique. I just thought it was really amazing because I had no idea anything like this existed, because I've actually searched before. I've actually searched in the past for cruelty-free agencies and that sort of thing, and nothing, literally nothing, you guys. So I was so excited to find this, and I am bringing her on the channel so you guys can learn a little bit more about her and this amazing agency, Conscious Artists. So without further ado, let's get right into this Q&A. So welcome, Jen, to my channel. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So let's just start. I think I first discovered you, of course, through Instagram, which is where I find most people. But I think I actually saw you on a makeup artist that I had already been following. I think her name is Billy. Yeah. And I saw that she had it in her like description or bio, whatever, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And so I clicked on it. I was like, my mind was just like blown. I was like so amazed. So
Same when I discovered your page as well, and the website and what you do.
so it looks like we're on the same team here. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself, what inspired you to create Conscious Artist, and just your journey so far.
Yeah, sure. So I've been a model for about 8 years, full time, based in London, and it's been great. I've had the opportunity to travel for work and meet interesting people and work with lots of different brands, which I've really enjoyed. And during that time, I just became aware, especially like the last 5 years, that I'm obviously kind of benefiting from the industry, and there's a lot of issues within like fashion and beauty that actually aren't very ethical and sustainable, like supply chains and factory workers and waste. There's so much waste in the fashion industry.
Absolutely.
And I kind of made like changes in my personal life where I kind of wanted to like reduce plastic, avoid chemicals like BPAs and phthalates. I switched my makeup to cruelty-free because I just, once you're aware of something like testing on animals, I think you can't go back. You can't unknow.
Right.
And I think for me, that's probably, and probably for most people, if you decide to go cruelty-free for your makeup, that's probably, your driving reason, because you just think, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is still happening. And then once I kind of made switches in my personal life, I think that going to work, it made me more aware of how there seemed to be like a bit of a gap, like a bit of a link missing with it being kind of thought of, I suppose.
Right.
Because if I was working with potentially a more sustainable brand or something, I just felt that makeup wasn't actually considered that much.
Right.
And I thought that it should be, because obviously if the production line's more sustainable with this brand, then why not use a cruelty-free makeup artist?
Exactly.
I would never say that to anyone on the job. Like, I completely respect all makeup artists. I know that not everybody is cruelty-free.
Right.
But in my own life, I was kind of led down a more sustainable route, and I've been thinking of ways that I could potentially do something good, because as a model, I didn't really have the platform I didn't feel like I did, to kind of make a stand in the work that I was doing.
Exactly.
And so that's what the starting point was, really. And also last year, I thought I'd try and organise like a test shoot just for myself. So just something low-key, get in touch with a few, like a photographer, a makeup artist. And I thought to myself, like to use a cruelty-free makeup artist, I'll try and find one. So I searched and I Googled and Instagram and stuff, and actually it wasn't that easy. It wasn't like there wasn't an obvious place to find a cruelty-free makeup artist.
Right.
So I was kind of surprised by that, because I thought surely like a quick Instagram search and you'd get like a list, or there'd be a site, kind of what you're doing basically. It didn't exist. Like there isn't a site that lists
Right.
professionals in the industry. And yeah, I just thought, well, why isn't that a thing? It should be a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy to search, if it's taking me an hour or so to try and find a cruelty-free artist, then a brand or a production company putting on some kind of shoot, they're not going to spend the time, because it takes too long, and they can use another agency where they can just get a makeup artist quickly. So yeah, I started contacting makeup artists to see if they would be keen for the idea of the agency at first, and everyone was so positive. It was amazing. Like, the feedback was really good, so I went ahead with it.
I think that's awesome. And the funny thing is, before I read the questions that you sent me, I didn't realize you were actually a model. I think in my mind, I assumed, oh, well, she must be a makeup artist, because that's what they.
A client actually messaged me recently, I connected with, assuming that I was a makeup artist.
Yeah.
I was available. I'm like, no, I'm not the artist here. I'm like the person who sent them.
Yeah, well, I think that makes it even more amazing that you as a model saw this and actually decided to do something about it. So good on you. That's amazing.
Even if it just is a small change, I think now people are kind of that mindset that even their small individual changes can lead to a bigger change overall. Like little things make an impact.
Right. Awesome. Okay, so what's next for Conscious Artists? What are your goals for this agency?
So we launched in October. That's when I kind of put the website live and had all the makeup artist profiles all done. But obviously it was lockdown, and then we had kind of a little time out of lockdown, then lockdown again.
Yes.
We're coming out of, I'd say, like the restrictions at the end of this month. And
Yeah.
June onwards, it's going to be hopefully more normal. Yesterday was normal because everyone keeps saying that.
I know.
But once things are going ahead, because a lot of productions have been on hold or cancelled or postponed because obviously it just can't go ahead with all the COVID restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
But I have made a lot of connections since launching, through like Instagram, LinkedIn, contacts that I already had. And I would just love to be able to work with more and more brands that share the same values, basically. I think it makes you feel good that you're all coming from like a common place and you all have that mindset, and the artists as well, obviously.
Right.
And to collaborate with brands like that will just be amazing. We've got one regular client at the moment that is just great because it works so well, and it's for them, I think, as well as for us, as well as for me thinking, why wasn't this available? Now that they know it's available, it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't they use a cruelty-free artist? Because it's so easy now. I want to just be able to provide that platform and for it to be an easy choice rather than something that's like not really in existence.
Right. Like it only makes sense. Like there's no reason why a sustainable or conscious brand wouldn't, use artists that are cruelty free. It like I said, it just makes sense. So I think it's amazing. It's an amazing platform.
It makes sense. That's exactly it. It just does. And I'm just like really happy to be able to provide a platform for the artists, really, because they're the ones that have already made the amazing decision to be cruelty-free, use cruelty-free products in their kits. And yeah, I just want to get them out there and, get them working with brands that want to book them.
So what advice would you give others that want to work within the fashion industry but maintain their cruelty-free values? Like, I think a lot of people feel like that's not an option for them.
I think it is really difficult, in an overall generalized way, to say that you want to work in sustainable fashion, because there's so many things that aren't sustainable and that are still being worked on. I think over the last 5 years, there's been massive steps. From being a model, I worked in wholesale quite a lot for different brands, and I've been in meetings with like all the biggest stores like Harrods, Selfridges, and they've all got sustainability targets now. They all stock more sustainable brands, or the brands they do stock and have probably stocked for years, they're under more pressure to have a sustainable line or have a sustainable wash. And part of that is greenwashing. And by that, I mean, they're doing it to tick a box because
Right.
that is the trend.
Exactly.
In a way, I don't think that's a bad thing, because at least the message is still getting out to the general public. Because if people go into these stores and they see like sustainable this and they want to buy into that, then that's surely just a good thing for the public mindset.
Right.
But I would say within fashion, if you can try and focus on one thing, it makes it a lot easier. Like, I think it can be quite overwhelming, all this information about lots of different things. But if someone, for example, just wanted to start making steps, then switching your makeup products, that's a really easy way to make a good change. And it's really accessible now because stores like Superdrug, which is high street and not very expensive, have their own line, which is all cruelty-free. You don't have to spend like hundreds of pounds on a whole new makeup kit. And I would never tell anyone to just like throw their makeup away that they already have. You might as well use your makeup that you already own.
Right.
And bit by bit over time, you can make those changes and just replace bits. Or, it can be a gradual process. And I think that's probably the best way to approach the whole of the industry. And obviously, people are passionate about fashion and beauty and want to work in those industries. And I think it's just about knowledge and research, really. Like, if you wanted to work for example, a certain cosmetics company, I think it's difficult sometimes to actually know if they're cruelty-free because they use wording
Mm-hmm.
misleading, and you have to really research and find out. But there's really good resources now, like Cruelty-Free Kitty,
Right.
Ethical Elephant, two sites I would definitely recommend people go to, because they're up to date all the time, and they have a list of all the cruelty-free companies. So it's just about knowing, like having the knowledge to make better choices, I suppose, or good choices if you want to.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really great advice. Like for me, when I started, on this whole ethical journey, it was very overwhelming. It was like, oh, well, I'm not this and I'm not that and I'm not plastic free and I'm not. So I think that's really great advice to kind of just focus on something or a few things that you can really put that you can really get behind, and then just grow from there, and just start off small and make small changes, because it results in something really amazing. So
Yeah, because otherwise you'd end up feeling like the house that you can use, or you know.
yeah. but yeah, but yeah, I absolutely love Cruelty-Free Kitty. Ethical Elephant and Logical Harmony is another good one. So yeah. Okay, so do you feel like, I guess this kind of hits on what you were saying about the greenwashing. Do you feel like the beauty industry and the fashion industry is making change? Like, do you feel like it's a trend, or do you feel like it's kind of like something that's kind of here to stay and that's just going to keep going?
I definitely think that it's something that's rolling and will keep rolling. Just since I've been kind of aware and conscious of things, I've seen changes. I think once you're in it as well, you're obviously, I follow a lot of those things,
Mm-hmm.
brands or bloggers and things. Um, but I definitely think just the public awareness in general, not even about necessarily fashion or beauty, but just a worldwide,
Shift. It's been like a,
yeah,
yeah.
especially documentaries. David Attenborough is such an influential person, and he did an incredible documentary recently. So I just think that it's definitely here to stay. And the more aware people are, just the more it will keep growing.
Mhm.
And as it grows, I think people will realize like cruelty-free beauty isn't a niche. Like, I think maybe people once thought, oh, the products probably aren't as good.
Right.
Or if they're vegan, like, oh, is that a bit strange? But that's not the public perception anymore. And not just with beauty, with food and, vegan, vegetarian food is so much more accessible now than
Hmm.
it was like 5, 10 years ago.
Do you think that the pandemic has kind of contributed a little bit to people like opening people's eyes a little more to what?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if one kind of positive thing has come out of having to slow down, I think it is the realization that, like, oh, the canals have been cleaner and the air pollution's gone down, and this is things that have been in the news,
Mm-hmm.
and people have more time probably as well to kind of think about their impact. Because before we're all too busy, we get up in the morning, people drive to work, or they're traveling all over the place, and it's just so normal and so part of life.
Right.
That to stop and take a step back, I think it probably does make people think like, oh wow, maybe it all was quite full on and quite excessive, and the need to buy and
Mm-hmm.
consume all the time.
Exactly.
Obviously, we haven't been able to go to any shops because it's been locked down, and people can still online shop, I know, but it's like that need to just always have a new top or a new pair of shoes or something.
Right.
I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but in general, I'd like to think that people realize they can cope without like consuming every week,
Exactly.
buying into a new trend, which is really a small phase. And I think it's given actually sustainable smaller brands like a bit of a chance to shine, because people probably have spent more time on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
love new brands. Shopping local and shopping small has become more apparent, I feel anyway.
Yeah. I,
There were quite a lot of kind of campaigns around that, kind of because people couldn't go out to the shops. So it's like, well, go to Etsy because there's lots of small businesses there.
mm-hmm.
You're actually
Yeah, you froze for a few, but you're back now. It happens.
sorry. I'll just check my internet.
It might be mine. I'm in the jungle. But
Being in the jungle sounds amazing.
well, also I think that it's also made people appreciate when they are able to go outside and be in nature. I've noticed people appreciate it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because all you could do was really go for walks,
Yep.
and we could meet one person at a time from, I can't remember what all the restrictions were. So kind of, if you can only see your friends for walks, then you're going to go out for a walk, and it made people discover new places and do things they wouldn't usually do, because usually it's based around the city maybe a bit more,
Mm-hmm.
whereas people were like, oh god, it's great to just get out into a bit of fresh air a bit more.
Yep. Okay, so so this part of the Q&A is going to be a little bit faster, but they're more fun. So, what's your astrological sign?
I'm Sagittarius.
So, okay, I have to know like when I'm Sagittarius as well. So, when is your birthday?
10th of December.
Okay, I'm the 5th. That's awesome. What's your favorite quote to live by?
There's a quote from Winnie the Pooh that I really love, and it's how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard.
I love
I
that.
think every time you're somewhere and you might feel a bit like emotionally attached to something, or you've seen friends or family, and you don't want to say goodbye, or you've had a great time somewhere, it's like that letting go. But I just think it's always really good to kind of step back and think, wow, well, how lucky am I to even have had that experience, or to have those people in my life. I don't know. I remember reading it years ago,
Right.
and every time I feel sad about, like, because my family are in Cornwall, so whenever I go to see them and leave and feel a bit like sad, I'm like, no, this is silly. Like,
Yes, it's a blessing, like you said, to just be able to have those experiences because so many people don't get that chance. So I love that. You know, another funny thing is one of my favorite quotes is from Winnie the Pooh as well. And it goes kind of like you're braver than you think. You're braver than you think. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that quote so much.
quotes come from like,
Yes. All right. So, what's your favorite animal and why?
so my favorite animal is probably a dog, but obviously dogs are most people's favorite animal. Well, I feel. Apart from like a domestic animal, I would definitely say dolphins. Um, I'm a bit obsessed with dolphins, but ever. Um, I just think they're amazing. They're so smart and beautiful, and I really support all the work that the Dolphin Project do.
Hmm.
Anyone hasn't heard about that, they should definitely go and check it out. And there's a documentary called The Cove.
Yes, yes.
Awful. It's mind blowing. But yeah, I just think dolphins are amazing.
They are. And I'll leave a link.
And you are.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'll leave a link to the Dolphin Project under the video as well. But yeah, I loved the Cove. It was just so eye-opening. It was it was awful, but I I learned so much from it. So I really did appreciate that film. So
Yeah, same. And it must be just so difficult for the barrier for people working there in the cove, seeing what's happening and regulate, like, yeah, reporting on it all the time. It's incredible and so sad.
yeah, and I recently watched Seaspiracy, which was even just, oh my gosh, yes, it did.
And again, like it's a lot of information, but I just think it's great if people would be aware of the issues. Because half the time, I think the problem is that people just don't know, and it's not
Hmm.
that they're knowingly endorsing something terrible or something they don't even agree with. It's just that they don't know.
Right. Yeah,
Are really helpful in that way.
they are, and it's funny because like I remember a time when I knew nothing about any of this, and I just didn't know. It's not that I didn't care, I just didn't know. And now that I'm like in the midst of it, I feel sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you forget that it's not people care, they just don't know. And it's hard to realize how many people out there still don't still don't know.
Absolutely, yeah, and that goes across like everything, all the issues that people might raise. It's just that people don't know
Hmm.
and haven't researched. Or I think people don't actually assume they have to research. Like,
Right.
you think surely that doesn't happen. Like that won't happen anymore. Maybe like 50, 100 years ago.
Right. People are so trusting of the government, of brands, of these large corporations, sadly.
Definitely. And also, I've noticed like celebrity endorsement as well. Because often, if
Hmm.
you watch an advert on TV or you see something flick up on your phone, and it's someone that you recognise and you like, and they've got a big name for themselves, you think, well, surely they wouldn't be endorsing it if it was that terrible.
Right.
But like they don't know either.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a minefield.
Okay, so where do you dream of traveling one day? I know you mentioned it earlier.
I would love to go to the Turks and Caicos because my grandparents lived there for a while. Because my grandpa was a policeman and they travelled around a lot.
Uh-huh.
They loved living there. I would love to see it, and there's resident dolphins there, so obviously that's a massive draw. I would just love to go, and I just totally would love to see the dolphins just in their natural habitat.
Hmm.
Obviously, I would never go and see them in captivity,
Exactly.
and just the wildlife there in general. I really love snorkeling, and I've done a little bit of scuba diving, so I would love to do that there as well.
So I don't know anything about scuba diving, which is hilarious because I live because of where I. So, do you have to know how to swim to scuba dive, right? Do you?
Um, you are very buoyant when you're scuba diving because you literally can control your buoyancy with the a little thing you press that blows up the suit you're wearing.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I just think it would be scary probably to get in the water and do that if you can't swim.
Right. It's like I want to scuba dive, but I can't swim.
Probably snorkeling would be okay because you could wear like a really good buoyancy suit
Hmm.
or just a float around your middle kind of thing, and just you can literally just pop your head in. You could almost be in a ring, like a
Yeah.
swimming ring. You could almost just be like chilling in one of them and just like put your head in and see what's below you.
Yeah. I'll have to give that a try then.
It's amazing, like to think what's living under you, and we just don't know it. We just don't really know enough about the seas, which is obviously
Hmm.
why they get exploited. But
Right. All right. And final question. Why is being a part of cruelty-free models important? Why do you think this is a good platform?
Oh, I just think it's amazing what you're doing. I think my first kind of thought is, again, like, why doesn't it exist already? It's it's such a great tool for anyone looking for an industry professional. Um, Someone could literally put together like a team, essentially from finding your website. And I think in the future as well, going forwards, as sustainability awareness grows,
Mm-hmm.
your website will be just such an amazing resource to have. And for me to be part of it, I'm just so happy to be part of it. And also, it's giving my artists an extra platform,
Mm-hmm.
which is incredible. And it's just that feeling again of coming from the same, having the same ethos and sharing the same values, and just kind of wanting to support each other because we're all kind of rooting for the same goal.
Exactly.
I think it's amazing. So well done to you.
Well, thank you. It's comforting. It's comforting to know, that there's other people that are, trying to push for the same causes and just make it better. So, thank you.
Glad that we've connected.
Me too. It's such a blessing. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, you guys, that's the end of this video. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Thank you.